America's first significant ally was France. In 1778, the two nations struck a treaty of alliance. The Marquis de Lafayette was a close friend to George Washington and an important officer during the War for Independence. French warships, French soldiers, and vast amounts of French supplies proved vital to the American victory over Imperial Britain. However, after the war, America's first diplomatic crisis involved none other than France. The ally that once supported the new republic's birth now tried to extort a bribe from her. The international intrigue came to be known as the XYZ affair. In 1789, France had its own revolution, a radical, bloody civil revolt against the monarchy, the church, and the aristocracy. The Jacobins, who played a leading role in the French Revolution, quickly shifted to tyrannical governance after the initial promotion of egalitarianism. By 1793, France was embroiled in a conflict with Great Britain, the start of a series of wars that lasted into the 19th century. America appeared to remain neutral in this conflict across the ocean. France grew resentful of American neutrality, viewing it as a tacit alliance with the British. In fact, under the Jade Treaty of 1794, America had achieved favored trade status with Great Britain. In 1796, France began seizing American merchant ships engaged in trade with Britain. The aggression severely disrupted American commerce and ignited public outrage. Elected that same year, President John Adams dispatched a diplomatic commission to France. This delegation consisted of 3 members: Charles Cotesworth Pinckney, the ambassador to France; John Marshall, who in 1801 became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court; and Elbridge Gerry, who would later serve as James Madison's vice president. Their mission was to negotiate a peaceful resolution to the maritime disputes and restore some level of friendly relations between France and the United States. When they arrived in Paris, however, the French foreign minister, Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, refused to receive the American representatives. Instead, they were approached by his 3 intermediaries, Jean-Conrad Hautinger, Pierre Bellamy, and Lucien Hauteville. The 3 Frenchmen presented an astonishing set of demands: payment of a substantial bribe to Talleyrand in exchange for a treaty, a loan to the French government at low interest, and a formal apology from President Adams for perceived slights against France. The demands were received as an insult to American sovereignty and a blatant attempt at extortion. The 3 Americans flatly rejected the French conditions. Pinckney declared defiantly, "No, not a sixpence." In the spring of 1798, news of the French insolence reached the United States. An angry President Adams submitted the dispatches from the French envoys to Congress. He redacted the names of the French intermediaries and, in an attempt to avoid further escalation, substituted them with X, Y, and Z. The revelation ignited a firestorm of public indignation across the nation and fueled biting political satire on both sides of the Atlantic, including this British cartoon depicting the French plundering America. The United States is represented by the female figure Columbia. John Bull, the personification of Great Britain, sits atop the cliffs of Dover, laughing at America's plight. In America, anti-French sentiment surged, and calls for war became widespread, even among the formerly pro-French Democratic Republicans. In response to the public outcry and the perceived French aggression, the United States embarked on a period known as the Quasi-War with France, which lasted from 1798 to 1800. While never formally declared, this naval war involved skirmishes between American and French warships in the Caribbean and along the American coast. The XYZ affair solidified American nationalism. Federalist leaders, capitalizing on the anti-French fervor, pushed through Congress the Alien and Sedition Acts, which were aimed at protecting national security but also served to suppress dissent and target political opponents. President Adams further used the crisis with France as an occasion for strengthening American defenses. At the start of his presidency, America had only 3 naval ships. By the end of 1799, there were 33. Despite strong opposition from within his own Federalist Party, in 1799, President Adams dispatched a new diplomatic mission to France. At the time, and by means of a coup d'etat, the French government was now under the control of First Consul Napoleon Bonaparte. The American delegation successfully negotiated the Convention of 1800, also known as the Treaty of Morte-Fontaine. The convention effectively ended the Quasi-War and replaced the Revolutionary-era alliance with France struck in 1778. In the end, Adams had successfully kept America out of a full-scale war. The United States emerged stronger on the international stage, both diplomatically and militarily. Yet the Adams presidency had been damaged by the whole affair. The Alien and Sedition Acts had divided Adams' party, the Federalists, and helped galvanize the rival Democratic Republicans, led by Thomas Jefferson. The stage was set for another conflict, the election of 1800.